Good morning, everyone. Esteemed Chief Guest Speaker, Dr. Dibharti Halder, respected correspondent ma'am, beloved principal ma'am, teachers, my dear students, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar. As a follow-up of the observation of Safer Internet Day, we have gathered here to get enlightened about how to use the internet safely and utilize it in the most effective manner from a very dynamic personality. It's an honor and privilege to introduce the guest speaker today, who is Dibharati Halder. As per her academic credentials, she is a doctor holding a PhD and a lawyer who is the mouthpiece of the voiceless. Her concerns about the society had driven her to become the founder of the website www.cybervictim.org, and she is the secretary of South Asian Society of Criminology and Victimology, with the head office housed at our own city, Tirunelveli, and it is functioning in partnership with accomplished knowledge partners from across the world. Along with her spouse, Professor K. Jaishankar, she has co-founded and launched India's first ever counseling center for cybercrime victims, namely Center for Cyber Victim Counseling. In her own words, she is a cyber victim counselor, author, speaker, legal scholar, honorary managing director of Center for Cyber Victim Counseling, India, and therapeutic jurisprudence. She is a Bengali, well versed in Tamil, Hindi, and of course English, and went on to learn French. I'm sure by now she would have mastered that too. This knowledge and language combo has resulted in her publishing a whole lot of articles, research reports, newsletters, chapters for books, and last but not least, presentations in national and international conferences, all with concerns of human rights, women rights, cyber crimes, handling smartphones safely, safe social networking, data privacy, and whatnot, you name it. She must be the most engaged person already, but that had not stopped her from admiring the ancient temples, which is in India, and the architecture and sculptures. And most graciously registered in her profile, she is a proud mother and a loving wife. Her name partially holds the name of the ferociously upright Mahakavi Bharatiyar, and she is entirely a noble woman whom Bharatiyar dreamt of, I should say. And definitely that is not an exaggeration. Now, without much further ado, I would like to hand this session over to the honorable guest. Eagerly looking forward to listen to you, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Pushpalata, ma'am. And thank you all the esteemed teachers, including the principal, ma'am, also. It's a really very good and nostalgic experience for me to come back to the Pushpalata platform because my daughter is your student, had been your student, and will be your student, even though we are physically not in Tirunelveli, but we always remember the school and the base of her education actually started with all of you. So with all the students who are here, let me also tell you with whatever madam had told about me. Right now I'm a professor of law teaching in Karnavati University. This is situated in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. If any one of you would like to come to Gujarat, please do visit our campus because it is green campus. So if you can see in this particular just a second, let me see my yeah. Okay, if you can see, I'll just shift a little bit. On my backside, you can get to see a UNICEF logo. So from our university, basically, we had collaborated with UNICEF on this very same issue, that is safe internet, for children. And also this particular, poster that you're getting to see, since I'm the nodal officer of UNICEF here. So we have done lots of researches, we have done lots of collaborations from the university as well as on behalf of my personal organization also. But here, since I'm here to speak about safe internet usage of the children, for the children, and by the children, I would like to start with my slide that will be making you also more understanding about the entire issue. Okay. I hope all of you can see my screen. I'll
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
the, okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
as you get to see here, understanding the concept of privacy. Today, basically, I'm going to speak on what to share, what not to share on the internet, and how to handle your entire digital footprint. I know that very young students are also there. I know that some matured students are also there. It is for all of you because the last year we basically have come across pandemic situation, and this has given rise to a new normal situation where we have understood that if in future the similar time comes up, we have to depend on the device, we have to depend on internet. And when we are depending on the device, when we are depending on the internet, we cannot but accept the fact that there are certain predators are there are certain criminals are there who are always there to steal our data, who are always there to infringe our privacy, and who are always there to look into our daily personal life. Now how we deal with it and what do we call it? Many of you who are senior students here, and also many of you who are well accustomed with the entire digital thing, you know that we I'm putting my cursor here, we call it as privacy. Why do we call it at privacy? When it was pre-internet era, we had a very much private life. We had a very much private understanding, because what we behave at home, we never used to discuss it in public. Our friends, our teachers, and also sometimes our distant relatives will also not know what do we eat, when do we sleep, where do we sleep, what do we do when we are sleeping, whether we watch TV or whether we read books. Nobody used to know it. But now, because of the internet, everybody knows what we are doing. Because of the internet, we also know that these people are going to watch us at this time. Before I begin with the technical discussions, let me tell you that, like many of you, I have inculcated the habit, or I can say it's a good habit. It's not a bad habit of watching the internet and watching YouTube almost every night. Because from here I do get lots of research ideas. I observe people, and also Facebook, Instagram. Obviously, these are there. There I have seen that many youngsters basically they keep on sharing their private lives, they keep on sharing their private moments. As I mentioned that my daughter had been a student, and she's in class 12, so she's going to appear for the boards, and this information I'm sharing with her permission. So I do understand that she misses her friends in Pushpalata school. She tries to get what do you call, connected with her friends. Sometimes she cannot, most of the time she cannot, because she may not be knowing about their daily day-to-day routine. And at the same time, we have a different routine here in Gujarat. So we do understand that the children basically they try to get connected through Instagram. They have got a vigorous messaging habit over Instagram, and I'm damn sure that most of you have it. So from here, I will take up that what are the things that generally we do share, why we should not share, and what are the laws basically which are there to help us out. As you can get to see here, this is the main understanding of privacy. If you see this closed door, basically on the internet also we can close our doors, we can close our albums, we can close our communication systems, and we can say that only this much information is available for your knowing, other informations are not available. Which means that I have what should I say, a control over who is going to see what part of my communication, what part of my photographs, what part of my daily updates on the social media platforms, on WhatsApp, on whatever it is. If some of you probably you know us or you know me, you have seen probably that every day I give an update on all social media platforms because I'm used to it. I have been using social media for not less than minimum probably 10 years. And yes, if it is from 2004, like obviously we have crossed so many years together with the social media. And because of my presence in the social media, because of my research in the social media, many of you can also become like that. I have been invited by Facebook, I have been invited by Google and also YouTube to create policies and to suggest them some more policies so that that can be beneficial for the children and also for women. I have been invited by different stakeholders, including National Commission for Protection of Children, even by National Commission, State Commission for Protection for Children, Tamil Nadu or any state you tell, and we have had a discussion, in-depth discussion, how to control the damages, how to make the children aware of it. Now I cannot go on saying to you that do not do this, do not do that, because I have a teenager at home and I know that if I keep on telling like this, you will not listen to me. So it is better that if you know the dangers first and then you go ahead for exploring more of the internet, internet world. So when we discuss about privacy, we do get to see, number one, no one should disturb when someone wants the privacy. When someone should think that yes, we are private, and that is the reason if you keep your mobile camera on, phone camera on when you are sleeping, you never know that how that entire data is being captured. Most of you have heard about Alexa also, and you know that how Alexa infringes our privacy, because whatever you are sharing with Alexa or whatever you are asking Alexa, everything is being basically saved in Alexa's own database. At the same time, whatever you're sharing over Instagram also, you can actually make stories, you can make the feedbacks feeds, etc., not the feedback feeds, etc. You must know that Instagram is storing everything, and there are many other layers of people, stakeholders who are also getting to see what we are doing. Next, when we talk about privacy, we see no one should be allowed to infringe the premises, snoop at the digital devices without any proper reason. There should be a proper reason. Say for example, you all have heard about hacking and hackers. Hacking is basically an illegal act, and if anybody has told you that you can become a police officer by going for hacking, etc., it's a completely wrong understanding. When you become a police officer, or when you become a lawyer like me, or when you become anybody else, who is authorized to go on for investigation, etc., you have to have a legal document which basically says that yes, you can go ahead for investigating the private chats, etc., with some proper authority. Nowadays the courts have also come out by stating that no, you cannot go ahead for investigating somebody else's private chat on WhatsApp. If you do it, even if you're a police officer, you are answerable to the court, and also you are answerable to the law and justice machinery. And the last one here, no one should be unnecessarily questioned about the work activity done when we are in a private mode. Obviously, this is for when we are not doing any or illegal act or unconstitutional act. For example, I am plotting a murder. I want to commit some harm to some person, and I have been chatting with some of my friends through WhatsApp. This is not a very safe communication. This is not a proper communication, neither this should be done. Because if you're doing all these things, do remember that if anybody wants to infringe, he is not a police officer, and if anybody wants to take a screenshot, or if anybody wants to share it with others, you will be in trouble. So better do not harbor any sort of criminal activities in your mind. If you want to take, if you feel victimized, if you want to take revenge, it is best that you come out of this revenge taking mentality. Tell your teachers, tell your parents, and also tell the police if needed that yes, I have been victimized and please help me. And obviously all these people, the police, your school, and also your parents, they will be always there to help you out. Never take anything on your own hand, because this is also going to infringe the privacy that we would like to keep it with ourselves. Now comes the question of the types of subject matter that may attract the privacy. That means what are the things, what are the data generally we generate, and what are the things we should not basically give away. Number one is that sensitive personal data. This is something, if any one of you would like to study law, this one you have to study. If any one of you who are planning to become computer scientists, etc., these are the things generally you have to study. What is sensitive personal data? For example, your birth date, example, your blood group. Obviously, with sensitive personal data, you will get to see some more other things that, for example, password, or for example, in certain cases, the PIN number, etc. So most of the times, I know that all of you know, you will get to see that if there is any hacker or if there is any other bad persons, they might ask for your password. They might also ask to share your many other sensitive personal data. For example, where do you stay? What is your father's name, mother's name? What is your birthday? What is your pet's name? All these things. You all know that we should not share. Why we should not share? Because these are the sensitive personal data that can be used to basically hack into your device, hack into your profile, and not only hack into your profile or device, these can also be used to hack into your parents' profiles or devices. Not only that, this can also go for infringing the bank informations also. So your parents basically are working very hard to support you, to support your desires, to support your education. Do not do anything that will basically create some kinds of criminalities for them, against them, and by which they can become the victims. Next is information privacy. You might get to see there are people who are asking about keeping on asking that why don't you talk to me, what time you would be able to talk to me, and then again on WhatsApp chat there would be several questions that might be asked that especially for board examinees, or even for example when you are in 7th or 8th standard or 9th standard, just before your exams are starting, there will be some people who would be asking that what are the questions you are actually looking into, what are the answers you are preparing, where you are getting the answers from. When the question comes where are the what are the resources from where you're basically trying to find out the answers, please do understand the person is basically not trying to help you, neither trying to get information for some academic purposes. This person might be trying to figure out what are the digital footprints that you are following. That means which are the websites you are basically visiting. What will happen is that almost all of you know that some websites uses cookies, which means there are some data that are automatically connected. There are certain information that will be automatically coming to your device also. You never know that there are several malware, spywares, etc. that might be put up in that kind of communication systems, or that kind of route. I'm not talking about the router. In those routes whereby you would get to see whenever you access these websites, something might happen to your device, something might happen to your email ID, or any sort of information system that you are using, that your computer will start becoming very slow, and one day you'll also get to see that there are some peculiar kind of messages there that are coming. And finally, from these sources, you never know, because these are very innocent sources, these are academic sources, but because of visiting these sources, you are being led to some other very unwanted sources, very unwanted web platforms. Next, you get to see data privacy. Suppose, for example, your teachers have given you some assignment, your teachers have given you some kind of homework, etc., that you have to do on your device, and you have to give it to your school for assessment. Now here comes 2-3 things. Number one, because here you get to see data privacy and also digital privacy. Number one, do not copy and paste from other sources. Why I'm saying? Because it is a habit of many children I have seen, that they will be visiting some website, they will be getting to see the correct answer over there, they will be copying it as it is and they will be pasting it. You know why? Because it is very easy for us. We don't have to study, we don't have to put our mind in it. You just copy that particular answer, you put it, and when the answers come, exams come, we can just easily go through that and we can write. please do not do it. Because one thing is that, again, as I said, the entire mechanism basically is seeing that which websites you're accessing. Number two is that you are not getting the actual knowledge or information that your parents and your school is basically trying all of you to gather. Number three is that whatever your data that is going to those websites, if they are using the cookies or if they are using any other mechanism, your phone, your device, your computer, that might be in danger. Same goes for digital privacy also. Physical privacy, never ever put your phone on, or never ever put your login status as it is when you are sleeping. And also never take your phone to washrooms. We have a very bad habit, especially this developed during the pandemic time also, that wherever we are going, we have a phone in our hand. We are watching TV whenever there is this ads are coming, we are watching internet. We are going to washroom, what will you do there? So just to pass time, you are actually watching your device. Never do it, because you never know if the device is hacked, or if the device, what we call in legal terms, unauthorizedly accessed. Somebody can switch on the phone, remote what you call clicking system can be there, and your entire private moments can be captured. So be very careful not to share about these informations also. Next, I will go for the next thing. Who may disturb our privacy? Here, one way you can get to see the government, that is something which I am not going to talk about, but the other is that private stakeholders. So this private stakeholders, I will tell you a very interesting story that was shared with me many years ago by one of the very senior police officers. There was a young girl who was studying in 8th standard, and she came to her and she told that, Madam, I am receiving very bad messages over WhatsApp and also over mail. And when the police started investigating, they found out that she was basically going to appear for the exam. And just before the exam was going to start, her friends in her own class, they did not want her to study well. They did not want her to, score good marks. So this was a twisting turn whereby they wanted to, create many profiles. They wanted to disturb her, and they started sharing many unwanted, information with her, which basically disturbed her mindset, and that did not allow her to study well. This is just a story, but there are several other things you do get to see. When you are on WhatsApp, when you are on the social media, you cannot but, you have to speak with your friends. But then while speaking with your friends, you never know who the person is who is on the other side of the phone. This phone can be handled by anybody other than your friend also. For example, I have kept my device, I have kept my phone on the table just beside this. I don't know if somebody comes here and picks up the phone and he or she logs into my WhatsApp account or my Instagram or Facebook account, and then they find out my friends and then they start messaging. You will feel that it's me, it's the Bharati who is actually messaging to me, but it's not me. And later onwards, I would also not be able to understand who was the one who in my absence has used my phone and has messaged. It's very difficult for me then to prove that it was not my phone. But basically, I am not the criminal. But who is the victim? You are the victim. So whenever you receive any message at odd times, that means when you know that your friends are not going to, talk with you, probably they're in the classroom or probably they're not going to use these things, do not answer these messages. If you get to see any sort of peculiar messages, etc., take a screenshot and block that particular person. Why? Because these private persons, these private stakeholders, you never know if you answer the message also, what sort of malware, what sort of viruses, etc., that would be used so that your phone can be basically hacked, your device can be hacked. Be very careful about that. Again and again, I'm telling your physical privacy. That means never make the phone switch on or camera switch on when you're changing your dress or when you are going inside any changing room, washroom, etc., because these are very much happening, criminal activities that we do get to see. So here, as you can get to see, I have to say this because I'm by profession, I'm a lawyer and also a law teacher. we have some legal protection for our privacy also. If anything happens like this, you all have basically heard about, as I saw it, UNICEF. I mean, I made you to see it, UNICEF, which is an organ of the United Nations. Those of you who are studying in probably 8th or 9th standard, you would be knowing this is basically a family of nations. So they have created their own what you call policy guidelines, and luckily, fortunately, because of my research, I was also invited to formulate these policies. Again, you would get to see Constitution of India, which is the basic mother law in our country, that also provides some basic legal protection for us. We have got some specific laws also, which are also giving us the what you call power to protect our privacy, and to if we are victimized, to go to the police stating that our privacy has been violated, our data has been violated, we did not want to share this data, but somehow our phones have been hacked, so please come and help us. Do not think that the police will not help us, or do not think that the other stakeholders, for example, I run an organization, if you contact me, then definitely I will help you to how to come out of this, but I'm not a hacker. So I will tell you that how to, where to go, what to do, all these things I will tell. Like me, there are several other organizations are also there, and also please do remember, you have to also contact the websites where you probably have seen some very bad messages, or somebody has hacked your profile, or somebody has basically created a fake profile also. Here, I should also say about gaming platforms. During this pandemic, I have seen that many children have taken to online gaming. Please do not think that the gaming platforms are absolutely all right, because they might be generating some OTPs, they might be sending you proper messages, etc. And they might be also telling that no, this is the safe game for children. This is not the safe game for children, because every gaming site have got their own positive sides also, negative sides also. So if you want to go inside the gaming websites, please consult your parents first. Please let them know that these are the sites that you want to enter, and then only you should enter. Because I'm telling that for past few days, we have got to see that the government of India basically is taking very strict actions, not only against the websites, but also against several other persons who are playing with our sentiments, who are playing with our own private data, etc. So do not think that as children you'll be excused. No, as children you have got the right to get help from the police. As children, if you do something wrong, there are laws which can even hold you as responsible too. The next, I'll go, who can protect our digital privacy? This is what I was telling, that we ourselves, by following certain privacy protection tips, I need not tell you, but you all know. But along with this, when I'm giving you this information, please follow them. Do not share your private data. Do not share your private moments. Do not share with anybody which are the websites you are actually accessing, or which are the websites your parents are accessing, which is the bank information that you are following when you are going for e-platform or e-commerce platforms, etc. These are something which is to be discussed only with your parents and yourself, and during certain times only with your teachers. Do not discuss these things with your even best friends, because you never know, as I mentioned, who that best friend is, when that best friend is, so-called best friend, is basically using their phone. Government, obviously, as I mentioned, that there are police departments are there. There are in Tirunelveli, there is child welfare committees there. I had been very closely linked with child welfare committees also, committee also, and obviously the websites with whom we share our data. As you can get to see, all these websites, they have got this reporting mechanism. So if you do not know how to report the matter to the website, ask me or ask your teachers, because we all know that there are certain, like anywhere, if you get to see that there is a photograph which has been your photograph, it has been copied, pasted somewhere, go to that particular page, click on the report menu button, and you can basically go for reporting that particular this thing. Instagram also, you can block that particular profile, or even, for example, you can even go for reporting that particular profile. But before that, take a screenshot, and then only you go for all these things, so that you have a valid evidence for this. Next, know the incidents which may infringe our online or offline privacies. I'm just giving you again some other information also. unauthorized access to data, bank data, etc. for illegal profit gaining. Here you would get to see, because of your own usage, sometimes, as I stated, that some password or for example some links etc., we might accidentally click, or we might knowingly click, or we might inquisitively we click, and thereby people will be getting to see all our informations. So hence, if anybody asks you that I have got some job offer, I have got some internship offer, I've got a very good college offer for you, ask your parents first, is it safe? Ask your school first, is it safe? Then only you should go ahead. Do not go ahead just because you feel very confident and you can go ahead. Next is stalking, or any sort of revenge taking mentality is there. Non-consensual image capturing is there. By the way, I must tell you that during these entire February month, we have got so many beautiful days, so many festivals are there. During this time, if anybody tries to take your photograph without your permission, this is something which is illegal act. So if anybody tries to take your photograph, immediately tell him, I'm not consenting for these kinds of photographs. Do not take my photograph. If you get to see that in the park or anywhere in the public place, somebody is just putting a camera thing, or you feel that somebody is taking a photograph, tell your parents. And also, I know that your school authorities will not allow, but inside the school premises also, if you do get to see any of your friends, or inside the virtual these platforms also, if you get to see that the students, they're sharing something which you feel that no, this is not good for me, immediately tell your teachers that this person is sharing some very harassing statements, comments, or photographs towards me, so please take care. Oversharing of information by using users, subscribers, as I just mentioned, that because we are in the friends group, so it's our habit of sharing. Please do not do it, because the more you can share from peer to peer when we are in the physical space, you cannot do this while you are in the online space. Unnecessarily government snooping, certain things are there. Do not go for these things. If you get to see that your Aadhaar informations are needed, or for example your birth registration information are needed, and you get to see something in your own number that you are using, immediately tell your parents. Do remember that the SIM card, the phone number, and the profile that you are using, you might feel that this is mine, but this is not yours. This is your parents. So be very careful of giving what information that you feel that it is very safe, or accepting information that you feel that it is very safe to accept this information. Be very, very careful. And how to protect your digital privacy? The first is that change your password. This is something which all of us do basically. Try to change your password almost every third day. This is the best practice that we have seen. Think before sharing. Before you share anything on the online platforms, and it can be through Instagram, it can be through gaming platforms, it can be through anything. Think once, twice, thrice, how many times you take time, think again, and then you share before it actually goes to your friends. Use safety and privacy tips, because before you enter into any website, you will get to see that there are certain tips that are given for all children. And also these all websites, basically they say that it is better that if you have your father or mother or your guardians at home as your friend on the website concerned. Do consider, we are not your enemies, as adults we are not your enemies, we are your friends, and we are there to protect you. Inform police in case of unauthorized access, stalking, etc. Inform your parents, inform your school if you feel that from the school platforms you're basically being harassed. And then, internet is not taking for revenge. Refrain from using it for sharing any sort of revenge taking actions. You see, say for example, you want to bully somebody, you want to troll somebody, or if you want to create avatar, in any gaming platform, do not do it, because this is something, do remember, if you are doing it, the same things would be done by the others also, and you will be in trouble. But before I end, I must tell again one thing. Whenever you are going, even for just creating a document or creating a photograph, please try to restrain, because now it is not the safe time for any one of you to use social media platforms as you wish. Always consult your parents, always consult with your teachers that whether we can go for a safe social media usage or not. I'm not saying that you should not use the internet. I'm not saying that you should refrain from using the devices also. Use it, but use it judiciously, use it for a positive purpose. Do not share anything that will attract victimization to your parents, to your siblings, to your friends, and finally to you yourself also. And also, if you are using your email IDs, if you are using any other platforms to provide your answer details or to provide anything to your schools, make sure that your teacher knows that you're basically sending it to them. Otherwise, it will go somewhere else. Your teachers might ask what has happened, and that other person who probably is not supposed to receive anything, he will be getting all the information that he or she will be receiving. So before sending anything, physically ask your teachers, what is your email ID, where can I send, what is the platform, and then you can go ahead. Same goes for your actual friends also. With this, thank you very much. Now I open the platform so for any sort of questions if you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was an insightful speech. Though we suggest them not to do certain things like taking mobiles to unwanted places, they still do it. We do say that for some other purposes, but then this would have let them know that it is technically also not so safe, right? Thank you so much, ma'am. And I have a few questions to ask you from collected from the students, teachers, as well as the one that might be that from the parents. So could you
Yes.
tell us about ethical hacking?
Okay. I do get to see here some questions also. Ethical hacking is basically, as the term suggests, this is done by the police. I mean, you also have heard about white hat hackers also. This is supposed to be done by the police, and also this is supposed to be done for a positive gain. Positive gain in the sense that, to stop some negative, things to go out. But I do not support ethical hacking. Obviously, I do not support unethical hacking also, amateur hacking also, because hacking is a term which attracts legal liabilities, which basically, if anybody goes for hacking, you please understand that our laws are very strict. Even if a teenager says that I'm an ethical hacker, please do not encourage, because it is only the police, and also after the courts have, or the police authorities have basically told that particular police person that yes, you can go inside and check what is there, because hacking basically includes like access to that particular data, and then bringing out certain information. That should never be done until and unless you have got a police permission, and that too, it should be done by the police. Never go for these kinds of understanding that I'm an ethical hacker and I'm helping others. No, it cannot be done.
Thank you, ma'am. That just says something wrong is completely wrong. There is
Yes,
no halfway through.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, ma'am. The next question would be, how do we know that we are safe while using a device which is not our own personal device in some other place, in workplace or in a center like
Okay,
that?
you might never know that whether that particular device is safe or not, because what happens is that, suppose for example, if you have gone for using Wi-Fi, or even for example, if you have gone for using just a device in a cyber cafe, you might never know that whether that device is correct or not, whether the device is basically pure or not. I have seen in a particular cyber cafe, I have seen when I logged in, I mean when I opened the computer, there were very nasty photographs in all the computers. Somebody had used it, somebody had sent some malware software and spyware, etc., and all the computers were basically infected. It is best that if you cannot handle your own devices in a particular time, it is best not to use any other computer. But at the same time, if you have to go for somebody else's computer, make sure that you do not share your personal data, which means that you can create a document, you can take a pen drive, you can just copy it, and then you can take it out. If you have to have to use your email or any other social media account, etc. Once you have used this public computer, once you come out, try to change your password, try to change your all sort of safety related questions, etc., as early as possible, so that that particular computer will not be able to trace out now what is the other safety related mechanisms that you have basically adopted.
Thank you, ma'am. And when it comes about this Wi-Fi, is it really safe to use the public sources available, like unsecured
No,
Wi-Fi?
no, never do it. Never do it. Because you
Because
never know that how the informations are are being taken. However, I do understand that sometimes we have to basically use public Wi-Fi, but be very careful. That's what, the only caution line, because during the pandemic we have seen that we have been using it from home. Now that we are coming out, it is very, very risky. Please try to restrain from using the public Wi-Fi until and unless, because many times I have seen that the data stealing and also the data scheming happens. Data means even the data balance also happens nowadays. You'll also get to see, this is something which is very, very necessary for all of us. You will get to see that the devices also have come which can scheme out the information even from the wallets, the bags, etc. If you have put your debit cards in your bags, so be very careful about how you are even protecting some physical the things are in your pockets or in your bags also.
so it is true that using such Wi-Fi's are likely to take away all our information.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
is it true that kind of e-banks or something that we use that also might be taken, ma'am?
See, there are some things, there is a concept called DigiLocker. DigiLocker is basically not only for the government, purposes, but also you yourself from the school or the child also can create some kind of DigiLocker. If you have something on the e-bank, I'm not very sure that if you're asking for the banking purposes or you're asking for some other non-banking purposes, but I'm going to give you the answer for both. If you are asking for something which is non-banking purposes, that means you're creating a data, you want to lock it in some device, make it sure that it is in your personal computer and that particular computer is always, as I use the term, purified. If it is for banking purposes, be very careful that you should not use this open Wi-Fi system. You should use a trusted device, and also after each transaction you should see that your password and related things, they are properly again restored, new password, new questions, etc., that can be restored. If anything happens, do not feel hesitant to contact the banks also, because the banks are also liable to protect your informations.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is on scanning. Scanning documents, is it likely to be unsafe, like certificates or certain cards which are likely to have data in barcodes or something like that?
I didn't get it.
Scanning the certificates or some papers that has barcodes or the computer readable data, is it safe, or should we can prefer to take photos of those?
Scanning is, I believe it is safe, it is done in a safer mode.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And one last question. So when children or mostly children here, so if they feel that something doubtful is happening and they are not so clear about it, who could be the first person that they can approach? Like, should the person be a techie or anybody,
First, the
and then they
parents.
can
Do not go to any techie.
they feel like someone who does have better
No,
knowledge
see, the thing is
on
that
all
it should
these
be
things
always
must be.
channelized through the parents, because what happens is that if the child goes to any techie, or if the child goes to any other person who is not having personal trust with the child, the techie can also ask for money, and that is something which is doubling the risks also. So we have to be very careful.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.